Hello, my name is Jennifer Hernandez, and today I'm going to share my lesson plan with you on Mendelian genetics and inheritable traits. This lesson is aimed for 7th through 10th graders in a life science class. With this lesson in mind, I am aiming to get students to demonstrate their understanding of genetics and inheritable traits. Students will be able to understand the importance of DNA, why some people have brown eyes and others have blue eyes, and why a father and mother who are both 5'5" have a daughter who is 7'2". Our understanding of how inherited traits are passed between generations comes from principles first proposed by Gregor Mendel in 1866, works that afforded him great gratification. Mr. Mendel was right by saying, "I am convinced that it will not be long before the whole world acknowledges the result of my work." To begin this lesson, I will need the following: a smartboard, UTAL story presentation that I will be teaching from, computers for half the class, 1 pencil per student, and 1 Punnett score activity sheet per student. The essential questions that I would like to ask would be, what is your understanding of DNA? And what is your explanation of a genetic cross? My guiding questions are, what is the importance of DNA? And why do some people have brown eyes and others have green eyes? And why does a mother and father who are both 5'5" have a daughter who is 7'2"? I will then give a short 20-minute lesson on Mendel's principles of inheritance, on how he worked on pea plants, but how his principles apply to traits in plants and animals alike, and how they can explain how we inherit our eye color, hair color, and even tongue rolling ability. I will explain Mendel's 3 principles of inheritance to the students, which are the fundamental theory of heredity, the principle of segregation, and the principle of independent assortment. I will then explain what a genetic cross is and how 2 species must be closely related in order for breeding purposes. I will then explain sexual fertilization and the combining of DNA to the offspring, and how a child inherits half their parents' DNA from each parent, while each parent passes half their DNA to each child. At the end of my teaching session, I will have the students get into groups of 2 and begin working on a Punnett square activity worksheet for approximately 10 minutes. Once the students are done, they will have to show me their completed worksheets, and I will have them begin a Storify project that will display their understanding on genetic crosses and explanation of the DNA transfer process. The students will have prior experience with Storify from previous lessons, and will just need to log into their personal accounts, which will be 1 per group. And for any students with special needs, they will be paired up with another student who will be able to work with them to get the project completed successfully and with ease. The students will be given 1 full class period to work on their presentations and must have it completed by the following class meeting. Once all groups have finished their Storify presentation, I will have each group present it to all their other classmates. I will allow the viewing students to ask a couple questions about each individual presentation. Once all presentations are completed, I will open up the class to discuss any questions or concerns they may have about this project. I will then encourage the students to give positive input to one another about their projects and to share some personal stories they may have about their family's genetics. The New Mexico grades 9 through 12 science standards that will be adhered to will be Strand 2, which is the content of science, and Standard 2, which is life science, where students are able to understand the properties, structures, and processes of living things and the interdependence of living things in their environments. Benchmark 2 will also be adhered to. Students will be able to understand the genetic basis for inheritance and the basic concepts of biological evolution genetics.